Somewhere tonight, a father is setting an alarm on his phone so he can move the car before the parking limit resets. A grandmother is sleeping in an RV because her Social Security check no longer covers her rent. And a kid is getting ready for school from a back seat, hoping nobody asks where home is. You've probably seen the number going around. 900,000 Americans living in cars, vans, and RVs. Not for adventure, not for freedom, just to make it to morning. I can't verify that exact number cleanly, and I'm not going to hand you something I can't stand behind. But the forces putting people there are real, every single one of them. So tonight, we're counting down 10 of them, and we're starting with the part that nobody in charge can seem to explain. Number 10. The people in vehicles are easy to miss. The latest official count says about 745,000 people were homeless on one night in January 2025. That's the number I can actually put my name on. But here's the thing, and I think a lot of you already feel this in your gut. That count is low. Not by a little, by a lot. And you don't have to take my word for it, because the government's own watchdog office said so in plain print. Think about how they count. Volunteers go out on one January night and eyeball people. And in some of the official guidance, they're told not to knock on a car or RV window unless they can clearly see someone awake inside. So the family asleep in a camper with the curtains pulled? Not counted. The man in the Honda behind the grocery store with his seat reclined back? Not counted. When the public schools do their own count instead, the whole year, including kids in motels and cars and crammed in with relatives, they found more than 1.5 million homeless students. Not all homeless people, just students. That's before you count a single adult. We are the richest country in the history of the world, and we can't tell you how many of our own people are sleeping in our parking lots tonight. That's not a math problem. A country counts what it decides to care about. Number 9. The month the rent outran the paycheck. Say you drive a forklift. $18 an hour, full-time, never miss a shift. That's about $2,500 a month after taxes take their cut. Now the cheapest apartment in your town runs $1,600. Right there, 2/3 of your money is gone before you've eaten a single meal. Add gas to get to work, add groceries that cost more every month, add car insurance, and you're living on the edge of a coin flip. One bad week, a $400 repair, a sick kid, a shift that gets cut, and you miss rent. This is the whole game now. It isn't that people stopped working, it's that working full-time stopped being enough to keep a roof over your head. For most of American history, you could not say that sentence with a straight face. You can now. Number 8, the mark that follows you for years. Here's something most people don't know. When you apply for an apartment now, a lot of big landlords don't even read your application. A computer does. It scans for an eviction, and if it finds one, you're done. Doesn't matter that you've got a steady job today. Doesn't matter you've got the deposit in cash. The machine already said no. So a person can fall behind one time, during one bad stretch, recover completely, and still get locked out of the housing market for years. They've got the income, they just can't get past the screen. And when every door says no, the car in the driveway starts to look like the only door that'll open. Number 7, the software quietly setting your rent. There's a company called RealPage. Most folks have never heard the name. What they sell is software, an algorithm, that landlords feed their private rent numbers into. The program can look at what participating landlords in the area are charging, then tells each one how high they can push the rent without losing tenants. Now stop and think about what that really is. It's competing landlords who are supposed to be fighting each other for your business, all quietly checking the same playbook instead. The Justice Department looked at this and in 2024 sued the company, and then sued 6 of the biggest landlords in America for using it. And this is the part that stopped me cold. In the lawsuit, prosecutors said one landlord started raising rents within a week of turning the software on, and within 11 months had pushed them up more than 25%. So your rent didn't just go up because times are hard. In some buildings, federal prosecutors say it went up because the software told the owner exactly how far he could push you. Number 6, the bill that costs more the less you have. Now, I promised to play this straight with you, so here's a place where the honest answer cuts against the drama. You've probably heard car insurance is going through the roof, and for a couple of brutal years it was. Premiums shot up almost 50%. But last year, they actually dipped a little in some states, and they've leveled off since. They never came back down to where they started, though. The average driver still pays around $2,100 a year. That's a lot, and it's brutal on a fixed income. And here's the cruelest part of how it works. In most states, your credit score helps set your rate, which means the poorer you get, the more they charge you to drive. The system literally costs more the less you have. And when your home is also your car, that bill isn't just a bill. It's the difference between having a roof and not. Number 5, one breakdown from the street. This is the trap nobody warns you about. When the plumbing breaks in an apartment, you call the landlord. When the transmission breaks in the RV you're living in, you've just lost your home and your only way to get to work in the same afternoon. A flat tire on the wrong morning can cost you a shift. A lost shift can cost you the job, and the job was the only thing holding the whole thing together. Every little breakdown becomes a full-blown emergency. There's no margin, none. Number 4, they'll tow the last thing you own. In the summer of 2024, the Supreme Court handed down a ruling in a case called Grants Pass. In plain English, the court gave cities a lot more room to ticket, fine, and even prosecute people for sleeping outside, even where there aren't enough shelter beds to go around. And cities took that ruling and ran. Tighter parking limits, overnight bans, more towing, and when they tow the home of somebody living in a vehicle, the fees to get it back can run into the thousands. People living in their cars don't have a few $1,000s sitting around. That's the whole reason they're in the car. So the city sells the vehicle. And in one afternoon, a person goes from having a roof, a locked door, and a place for their belongings to having absolutely nothing. We didn't fix their problem. We just took away the last thing standing between them and the sidewalk, and we charged them for the privilege. Number 3, when the parking lot becomes the plan. Some cities have tried something gentler. They call them safe parking lots. Fenced, monitored places where people can legally sleep in their vehicles overnight, with a bathroom and a little security. And on one hand, thank God those exist. They keep people alive. But I want you to sit with what that actually is for a second. We are now building permanent parking lots for working Americans to sleep in their cars, not always as a quick bridge to something better, too often as the only plan there is. Here's what I think, and you're welcome to disagree with me in the comments. When a country starts building lasting infrastructure for people to live in their vehicles and calls it compassion, it has quietly stopped trying to solve the problem. It's just gotten comfortable managing it. Number 2, you own the house. You just don't own the ground. A lot of folks did everything they were supposed to do. They bought a manufactured home, what we used to call a mobile home, because it was the one thing they could afford to own outright. Here's the catch they didn't see coming. You own the house. You don't own the dirt it sits on. You rent that. And investors figured out years ago that this is the perfect setup. There's a man named Frank Rolfe, one of the biggest mobile home park owners in the country, who teaches other investors how to do exactly this. He's been remarkably open about why it works. He once compared a mobile home park to a Waffle House, where the customers are chained to the booths. His point was that the residents can't leave. Moving one of these homes costs thousands of dollars they don't have. So you can raise the lot rent year after year, and they've got nowhere to go. To be fair, Rolf later said that quote was taken out of context, but the business logic is the part that matters, and it doesn't change. The residents own the home, but not the land, and moving the home can cost more than they've got. So when the lot rent finally climbs past what a Social Security check can cover, the only thing some of them can still afford to buy is a used RV to sleep in. Number 1. The people nobody saw coming. I'll be honest, this is the part of the whole story that gets to me the most. You'd expect the people falling into this to be young. They're not. The fastest growing group of homeless Americans right now is people over 55. Folks who did everything right, worked for decades, paid into the system, and the experts who study this say their numbers could triple by the year 2030. Nearly 150,000 of them are already out there, and 1 in 4 is completely unsheltered. There's a woman named Rose Del Rosario, 65 years old, high blood pressure, lifelong asthma. A reporter found her getting a checkup from a doctor working out of a medical van parked across the street from the RV she now calls home in California. That's not a statistic. That's somebody's mother, somebody's grandmother. She worked her whole life and ended up with a hot plate and a parking spot. And there are more of her every single month. So before I let you go, I don't want to just hand you a problem and walk away. That's the easy thing to do, and it's not why you're here. Let me give you 2 things that are real, that still work right now in case you or somebody you love ever needs them. First, if there's a family with school-age kids living in a car, a motel, or doubled up with relatives, every public school district in this country is required by law to have what's called a homeless liaison. Those kids can stay in their school. The district has to help with transportation and meals, and it's handled quietly. Most families have no idea this protection exists. It does. Call the school district office and ask for the liaison by name. Second, if you or someone you know is 1 bad month from losing housing, dial 211. Just those 3 numbers from any phone. It connects you to local help, rent assistance, emergency programs, safe parking where it exists. And for the seniors watching, there's a federal line called the Elder Care Locator that can point you to housing and benefit help in your own county. Write that one down. Now I want to hear from you, and I mean this. Have you watched this happen where you live? Maybe a parking lot near you that's quietly full of people after dark. Maybe it's happening to someone in your own family, and you've never said it out loud. Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and the stories you share are the truest part of this whole channel. And if you got something out of this, there's a subscribe button right under this video. Grab the remote, hover over it, and click. That's it. It's the only way you'll know when the next one's ready. This is EconoNova. Keep an eye on the price of milk.